When we talk about quality, our minds usually jump to things like standards, audits, and big certifications like ISO 9001. But what if the real key to high performance isn't a certificate you hang on the wall? What if it's something quieter, something that's built day by day? What if the real secret is something we call operational consistency? Okay, before we dive in, let me ask a quick question for anyone who's ever managed a quality system. Have you ever felt like you're just stuck in a loop? Like you're solving the exact same problems over and over and over again? It's a story most of us know all too well. A defect pops up, the team jumps on it, they implement a corrective action, and for a little while, everything seems great. The problem looks solved. But then, a few weeks or a few months later, it's back. This whole frustrating cycle is a huge sign that the root cause isn't some technical glitch. It's a gap in your team's behavior. We call this the familiar frustration. And it's the reason why even perfectly certified systems can still fail. See, the problem usually isn't the system itself, but the gap between the plan and what actually happens day to day. All this frustration, well, it really pushes us to look beyond the certificate on the wall. While all that documentation and those standards are important, they often miss what really drives performance. So, what is it? What's needed here is a fundamental shift in perspective. We have to move our focus from the artifacts, the standards, the documents, the certifications, to the actions themselves. The real drivers are disciplined, repeatable, and consistent execution. It's all about what people actually do, not just what the manual says they should do. And that brings us right to our key concept, operational consistency. So let's be super clear on the definition here. It is the disciplined, repeatable execution of processes as they were intended to be performed. In other words, it's about doing things the right way every single time, no matter who's doing it or what shift it is. So, if consistency is the goal, where do things go so wrong? Well, it happens in the gap. That space that can slowly open up between your documented procedures and what's actually happening out on the shop floor. In a really healthy, high-performing organization, everything is in perfect sync. The documentation reflects reality. People perform the process exactly as it's written, and because of that, the results are predictable. Each one of these things reinforces the others, creating this powerful, super reliable system. Yeah, but that's the ideal state, right? In the real world, things aren't always so perfect. Over time, for all sorts of reasons, these three elements can start to drift apart. And this drift, it happens for very human reasons. Production pressure leads people to take shortcuts. Training isn't quite as good as it used to be. Different supervisors enforce the rules differently. Or maybe the documentation itself is just plain out of date. Think of it like a thick rope that starts to fray just one single fiber at a time. The crucial point here is this: the gap almost never forms overnight. It's a gradual erosion of discipline. Now, closing that gap and achieving true operational consistency, that's not just some quality control exercise. No way. It comes with powerful, tangible business rewards that affect the entire organization. So the first and probably most obvious benefit is just straight up improved product quality. When you reduce all that variation in your process, you naturally reduce defects. Consistent execution leads directly to less scrap, less rework, and a much more reliable product for your customers. It's that simple. This consistency has a direct and massive impact on the bottom line. I mean, quality failures are incredibly expensive. Think about the cost of investigations, returned products, and lost production time. Operational consistency, on the other hand, is proactive. It prevents all those costs by building stability into the system from the very beginning. Ugh, and anyone who's ever prepped for an external audit knows that feeling of audit anxiety, that knot in your stomach. It often comes from going deep down that what's written in the procedures isn't quite what's happening every day. But when reality actually matches your documentation, audits become straightforward and routine, not a huge source of stress. But maybe the most important benefit of all is the confidence it builds. When your processes are stable and predictable, leadership can finally stop spending all their time firefighting and actually focus on growth and strategy. It creates this foundation of trust in your own operations. So, if this is all so valuable, who's responsible for making it happen? The answer is simple. This is a leadership imperative. It absolutely cannot be delegated solely to the quality department. This quote really gets right to the heart of the matter. Certification does not guarantee consistency. Only disciplined execution does. Just think about that for a second. A certificate is just a snapshot in time.
Discipline is a daily commitment.
And that daily commitment, it doesn't come from a manual. It's supervisors and managers who set the tone. When they demonstrate that procedures matter, that the expectations are the same for everyone, and that shortcuts just won't be tolerated, employees follow that lead. Consistency flows from the top down. And that brings us to the final, critical question you have to ask yourself. Take a hard, honest look at your organization. Is your quality system just a binder of documents sitting on a shelf, something you only pull out for audits? Or is it the real, living, breathing operating system that guides how you do business every single day? Because the answer to that question, well, it makes all the difference.